So we are back again. If you're watching this, what I want you to do is like and subscribe because the guest that we have on today is incredible. So I have Jack with me. You might know him as a kinetic coach, but how are you doing?
I'm good, man. Bit warm today, but how are you?
You know what? I'm the same. It is really warm today.
Yeah.
I've been on this journey of having 4.5, 5 liters of water a day. And I swear I'm going to go way over that today. It's crazy. It's crazy. So, I know quite a lot about you, bro.
Yeah.
Obviously, we work together as well at JD Gym Oldbury. I see you doing your thing as well. And it inspires me because you're a great coach and I love coaches that are great as well. However, there's going to be a lot of people in here who don't know who you are. So if you can just tell them just a little bit about you, just so that people can understand what type of caliber of coach that we're talking with today.
Of course, man. So yeah, I've been a trainer for 10 years now. So I started off, I was straight out of college. So I would have been 17 when I got my first PT job.
Crazy.
I was at Pure Gym, Briley Hill, way back when. Was in Pure Gyms for 2 years and then came out of Pure Gym, joined more of a private setting. And I was in a private clinic for 6 years, and then kind of shared between the private clinic and JD Oldbury when that opened, and that was a year and 4, 5, 6 months ago now.
Yeah, it's been a minute now.
So yeah, just under a decade now. But yeah, it's been a bit of a journey through different elements of coaching, different elements of the physical world, personal training, bit of sports therapy, and now more kind of a hybrid. So strength and conditioning is kind of the label on that.
So would you say now that your passion is strength and conditioning?
Yeah, it's a bit of a blend.
Because I know that you did go to, where did you go last year?
I went to the US over the summer. So I went to the USA over the summer. I was at University of Washington. It's a different kind of ball game out there. So strength and conditioning was born in the US. So it's it's way more integrated within lots of different institutions, schools, military, all sorts. Whereas here it's a little bit of a blend. If you search on Google strength and conditioning jobs, most that come up are personal training jobs. So there's not much of a differential between strength and conditioning coaches and personal trainers at the moment in the UK. However, it's starting to become a little bit more separated in regards to what a personal trainer is and what an S&C coach is. So now I am an S&C coach since finishing my degree last year.
Mad. So while you were doing your 10 years of personal training, you still were studying on the side as well?
Yeah, so I've always kind of studied. Other than the 2 years I was at Pure Gym at the start. When I joined the private facility, the reason why I joined was because they did a sports therapy diploma. So at the same time as me kind of shifting my business into private, I also was doing their diploma in sports therapy, and that was a level 5 diploma, kind of like a bit more flexible. It's not like university, although it was taught by a ex-university lecturer. So it was to a high standard.
Yeah.
And a lot of the assessments reflected that of which you do at university.
However, very high grading.
Yeah. But it was, again, a lot more relaxed in terms of attendance. You can pick and choose. So I was able to operate my business quite easily alongside doing that. Whereas the degree that I started in 2019, that was a little bit more kind of a big kind of shift, trying to make room for that study time as well as running the business.
Sounds good. So what we can all see here is you're not just a generic PT.
No. There's a lot of layers to it, but again, it's kind of funny. The more I've done these courses and the more I've been in the industry, the more simple my coaching approach has got. The less I've kind of focused on the complex stuff, because it's quite easy to get lost in this industry as a coach and as someone just looking to train. Now I'm much more of keeping it simple, but making sure that's been that approach has been selected for a reason.
So simple but very effective.
Yeah, because often the most basic things are the best approach, but it's about how you come to that conclusion, how you've got to that decision, and then how you apply it and what your plan is. If you've got a plan of action, the simplest way you can apply that action is usually the best course of action.
I love that. So, when we speak about, because something that's very common, like my mom, for example, she's over 60 years of age. I can't reveal her true age, but she's over 60. And one of the most common things that I hear quite a lot, especially from her, is, I'm too old, man. I'm too slow. I'm too fragile. What are your views on that, bro?
Yeah, I think we've created an environment, and this is through generations. Science is catching up now, but we've created an environment where they're the exception when it comes to training in a gym facility. The gym facilities aren't very well marketed towards that age of person. Like you look up these big commercial gyms, their advertising is always going to be like
Younger,
a 20 to 30 year old, always an in-shape tone person. It's never the older generation. So it kind of automatically creates a barricade, excludes them from this environment. However, it is starting to get more common to see people just coming in and having a look around, which is a positive outlook. And then it's also just starting to get more integrated into like healthcare plans and life insurance and things like that. It's starting to become more advertised that older people do need to exercise. Keep this is the best thing we've got against aging. That's proven that keeping yourself active, keeping yourself strong, keeping the bone strong, ligaments strong, muscle strong, keeping your frame strong, has been one of the best kind of. I don't want to say breakthroughs because it's not like we didn't know. It's just we didn't have enough kind of voices, voicing it. So it wasn't
confidence.
No, it was always kind of the other side. It was always kind of like, as you get older, you need to become more careful.
Yes.
Whereas really we should be looking at it as if you've prepared through your life properly. If you've trained and kept active throughout your whole life, you should be still fairly resilient as you go up into the 60s, 70s. Of course, you've got the natural causes of natural aging stuff that happens like arthritis and whatnot. But if you've been active enough through your life, like that shouldn't be a life-changing thing. However, because of the type of person that might be getting that information, where if they haven't been active, that could be very life-changing.
It could be definitely. And even though what you've said is a massive buying for people to keep exercising, I can't lie. Like me at the age of 18, I didn't care about lifting to make sure that as I get older, I'm stronger. It was very much like I'm going to lift as much as I possibly can right here, right now.
Yeah.
But I do believe like the more and more that we're around good people, and when I mean good people, I mean people who are diving into their business and constantly educating themselves, the more we learn, about the element of coaching. And I don't believe yet that in any other gym other than what we're in right now, that is pushed as hard as someone like yourself does. Like when I'm looking at the people that you train, there's a lot of people who arguably we would look at and be like, okay, I wouldn't have thought that you would be in the gym. I wouldn't have thought you would be lifting that right now. But that's definitely a credit to yourself because you're obviously saying something constantly that is resonating with that type of person. Like, for example, is it John? Dave?
David, yeah.
Like Dave, like what does he struggle with?
Not much, like, to be honest. I mean, so he's got some health conditions that have kind of put a limitation on him, but the beauty of David's story is the conditions he's got is kind of creating him like a bit of like a careless attitude when it comes to maybe feeling like a bit of an outsider. So he hasn't got that block. He's kind of like, well, if this is going to help me, I don't really mind what people are thinking about it. Because in the day I've got bigger fish to fry. Yeah. So it's kind of created a bit of a blessing there, but again, you get those exceptional people at any age, but it just so happens that David at his age, up into the 70s, has brought into training. But that's not to say like, he's not thought about it at a younger age. Yeah. It just wasn't part of his lifestyle until now. But it just goes to show it doesn't matter what age you start as well, which is also the beauty of training is no matter what age you start, as long as you're with the right person and you've got that, plan ahead of you, just like you would if it was a beginner. It doesn't really matter. Training's still going to have the same effect. It's still going to be positive. It just needs to be applied in a slightly different way. And the only complication you get with the older clients is there are usually a lot of like long-term
injuries.
Avoidance of positions and avoidance of
I love that terminology you use, avoidance of position.
So like they're through their lifestyle they've avoided these positions without knowledge that they should really be doing it. Just like deep squats, deep knee flexion, hip mobility, usually quite sore going through that squat range of motion early on. But that's the beauty of training is the more you do it, the better the body gets at it. And that happens at any age. It just happens a bit slower when you're older. So it just enhances your right. If you're going to train when you're older, then take on the lifestyle and incorporate it into your routine. Because the good thing you've got is also when you're a bit older is usually you got more free time because you're retired. So you've got more time available. So no longer is time
an issue.
So long as again you're brought into it. So if you move like 5 days a week, it doesn't need to be like hour and a half long sessions, these grueling sessions. It can be short and snappy, and you can do it more frequently. And even finding like a hobby outside, like group walks and things like that, will often like build in those positions, build in those movements, as long as you're getting stronger at them.
It's playing a long game, innit?
Yeah.
Like everybody wants to, jump into the gym on day one and then in a month from now have a six pack and have glutes and have biceps, and the list would go on and on. But ultimately, if you're not in it for the long run, you're going to be your own worst nightmare. And as I said, like if I reflect back to myself at 18, I didn't care about being strong for when I'm old. I cared about how much I'm going to bench right here, right now, because the big guy over there could bench as much as I wish I could. So I would chase that down. And as I said, it's really inspiring to see that, there's still a clear message being preached 10 years later about the same thing that we're all meant to still be doing, which is looking after ourselves. Yeah. Not just for today, but for tomorrow as well.
And what you wouldn't have realized is that even if you didn't have your attention on, longevity, you get strong when you're young. You generally, it takes the stress off later on. If you're strong to start with, it's way less hard to get strong later on. Okay. You kind of sustain some strength as long as you maintain some. So like if you were, let's say, training in your younger years at like 5, 6, 7 days a week, like at that age, you can tolerate that sort of workload. That's fine. And you will get nice and strong, and you will like be competent at these movements. If you then dropped down in your 30s to 2 sessions a week, like you'll find yourself kind of sustaining and maintaining a lot of, you won't be hitting the same numbers, but it's not like you're benching for the first time. So you will be at a good foundational level. But like I say, it doesn't matter when you start, really. It's about kind of the plan that you have in place when you do start.
Well, why do you think it's so hard for people to find the correct plan for themselves right now?
There's just too many people. There's just too many chefs in the kitchen, too many opinions floating around. So like you go into you could go into any commercial gym if you're a member of one and go to the PT board, and you'll see all these names. But like what is often not on there is kind of like their accreditation. And their coaching kind of philosophies and things like that. Like you can often find that like someone that doesn't really know what they're doing, or is brand new to the industry, whatever situation they're in, if they are exercising people, there isn't actually a problem with that. They're exercising people. What the concern comes into it is when they're trying to push a certain kind of method or a certain way, when often all of these methods do work in the right context, but they're often missing that critical thinking approach where they take all of these concepts like, I don't know, German volume training and heavy strength training and Olympic lifting, and they take all of these concepts and they only hone in on one of them because that's what they do. So you'll often get this like I call it or like magnifying glass. So like you get these magnifying glass coaches, and it's because that's the approach that they do. They fit all their clients into that pigeonhole, regardless of the context. So if they're a power lifter, the clients will only receive powerlifting style training because that's what that coach knows. However, what kind of brings the better coaches out of what separates them from is the ability to kind of take all of those concepts
and apply
and sieve through and apply them to the right people. So I like to say quite often you'll see me kind of potentially teaching someone how to do some Olympic lifting, but then you'll see the next client in and they're learning the basic, squats or hinge movements, and then the next person they're doing some mobility training. So it's about, when you talk about the separation between an S&C coach and a PT, I feel like PTs, it's a really broad scope. So you get people that are not even qualified properly, but they're in the game. They're in the world with us. Like even if they're not new, they might just be training themselves, and they've gained popularity, and they're within this world with us. And then you get the ones that have excelled and gone and learned a new profession, whatever it might be, and integrated that into their business. S&C is generally more of it's a university degree based, so you have to go and do a degree, and then that brings in complications because it depends on who's teaching the degree and their methods and whatnot. But you learn how to be a critical thinker, so you take those concepts and then apply them.
and apply. That's the main thing. Exactly what you said there. I think like you touched on so many good points here. One of the things that you spoke about earlier was simplicity. You said even though you are more educated now, even though you're more confident, you've still brought everything back down to simple methods that work good with your clients. And as I said, I see that, and as I said, it's good to be around people like that. But you also spoke about the fact that, you know, when people are in a specific field, like whether it's powerlifting or bodybuilding would be there. Like I remember when I was doing bodybuilding, and I literally, when it comes to like diet plans, my clients were doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Because at that early stage of coaching, all I knew and all I believed in was, you want to be in the best shape, eat this. Eat chicken, rice, broccoli 6 times, 4 times, 3 times a day, because I did it. So I believe because I reaped these rewards in one way, everyone else could only do that way. And what it did was it taught them how to have bad relationships with food, how to abuse the gym because we're now working harder in the gym because we've had a bad day. And that love and that honesty for the gym decreases, and the love and honesty for themselves decrease with it. So I'm a massive believer in what you're saying here. You have to have multiple applications, but you still get the end result, the same end result.
Yeah.
And this is like a crazy thing now. Like we're in such a weird time in life where popularity wins. Like if I had 100,000 followers on social media and I've never, ever, ever got my PT qualification, or I've never excelled in any sort of fitness element, and then I launch online coaching, I'm going to, just because of the sheer number of people that follow me, and maybe I post here and there about being in the gym and I look okay in shape because they've bought into me already. They're going to buy into this product that probably was made by an AI bot somewhere else around the world.
Yeah, that's it. And like that's more prominent than ever, because I could go on ChatGPT now and put in some prompts and make it write me a program. So really, again, it kind of comes down to like who's gonna like give you the knowledge and give you the know-how. Like I don't see people like I try and advocate that I don't sell people what I know, because what I know is out there for free for everybody. It's on Google and it's in textbooks, and it's you know, I've obviously paid money to go and do a degree and go do these courses. However, what was the content that was on those courses is freely available. So it's not the knowledge, it's the application of all of these things, because it can get quite loud in the industry. So it's about whittling it down to a simple approach and then trialing that approach. And if it's working, great, stick to it. If it's not working, then it's quite easy to change something that's simple. It's hard to change something that's complex, because someone's already, if you tell someone that, you know, they need to, maybe someone that's brand new to the gym and they've been told that, right, you need to start drinking 5 liters of water, you need to change your diet, you need to start sleeping well, you need to start managing your stress. If they do all of if they do all of those things, they're never going to know what works. But if you just told them to if you just told them to, right, okay, this week this month your main goal is to average 3 liters of water a day. Great, okay, that's fine. Like that is it. And if that then starts to produce results, then the rest will start to click in. But you're already making results, and we're creatures of reward. So we have to be, you know, you do work, you get paid. You know, you work hard, you buy yourself that reward, or so we're creatures of reward. The gym is one of those hard places where the reward doesn't come for a while. So you have to integrate reward outside of what you can physically see. So it has to be something that you can emotionally tie into, i.e. movements, movement achievements, fitness, you know, these things that you can kind of go, it doesn't take much for me to teach someone how to squat. So if they can't squat, then their goal is to learn how to squat. And as a byproduct of learning how to squat, there's a lot of other health benefits that come along with that weight loss being one of them, that might occur. But it's not been our primary goal. It's just so happens to be a byproduct of our efforts.
Being on that right path.
Yeah, that's it. Like it comes with it. So if you just solely focused on the weight loss and didn't focus on the other things, you might like be super motivated at the start because you get those, you know, instant results straight away from like just increasing your activity. However, you know, when that starts to fail, you've got nothing to fall back on, and you haven't learned how to just enjoy the process of it. So you've got to learn to enjoy the journey of just living a healthier and fitter lifestyle.
It's definitely a lifestyle. It has to be. Like it can't just be a temporary thing. Like you literally are right. Like the best results have come from those who have been absolutely brought into the lifestyle, not brought into I want to fit into that dress. Bro, no one cares. If you don't address the issues that got you out of that dress in the first place, guess what? It's going to happen again. And it's literally that simple.
And that's how we end up with this older generation thing. Like, again, like you have a healthcare professional, or even not, you might have a family or friend, you know, way back when, tell you that, oh, if your knees hurt, you need to rest up, or you need to stop clicking your fingers because you're going to get arthritis. Like, those things stick with people. And that was a thing that I heard when I was young. But like, again, once you look into it more, it's not actually the case. But, you know, these statements that people throw out there that we used to just throw out there nice and quickly without any thought or process, you end up like tying onto that. So I speak to people now that might be in their 70s or 80s, and they come to me and say, right, I can't squat, or I can't do this because I've got this in my knee, I've got bone on bone or something like that. Well, okay, well, you know, you sit down, you stand up, you walk. So there's an element of squatting. You might not be able to do what the traditional squat looks like. However, you can still do a variation. There's thousands. So we can pick and choose and select which one's going to work for you, and you can still get the benefits from that. But I remember hearing this, I heard this the other day. It was about how the typical statement of, my 90-year-old granddad smokes, drinks, and he's still, you know, he's still alive and he's still doing well. What's happened there? And like, it might, you know, this is kind of like, there's a lot of different tie-ins we can go, or there's a lot of different ways we can take it. However, like, they used to be way more active than we are now. Yeah. So when people look at their lifestyles now, like, we've got, you know, we got transportation everywhere. Like these people used to ride their bikes to the mines. They used to ride their bike to the farm. They used to be a farmhand on the weekends. You know, they used to be very active than all the time. So even though they do the traditional things that now we're like, you can't, you know, you shouldn't do. And I'm not advocating you should. However, like, they lived a different, more active lifestyle. So if we just took that message
on board,
you know, and just kind of like advocated that, right, yes, going to the gym's great. You're young. You want to focus on how you look. That's great. But you are also laying great foundations to live a longer and healthier life. So don't just get beaten up if you're not in the best shape, if you're not achieving, or that people are progressing faster than you, because you're still, you know, doing something that a lot of people now wish they were doing a long time ago at the age of some of these people. So it's just something not to be taken for granted early on. You've got access to the cheapest gyms and arguably the best gyms you can for the lowest costs. You've got access to trainers that are willing to help. You know, every trainer's got social media. There's content everywhere for free. Instagram, there's content everywhere for free. Granted, it's hard to navigate, but if you just think about things before applying it, or question things before you apply it, then often you'll find something that works, and often the most simple approach is often best.
In short, people really need to understand what it is that they are meant to be doing, because everyone gets distracted now. Like, we're in a world where, like, for me, for example, like, I can't watch Netflix, bro. I literally will go onto shorts on YouTube and just rather watch that. And that's possibly part of the problem as well. But, you know, you've got a client called Dave, is that his name?
David, yeah.
Yeah, David. And I remember you spoke to me before about he's got leukemia, one of these. Like,
yeah. So he's got a few different conditions. So again, on like paper, you'd see it as kind of like someone that, you know, you wouldn't see out their house. Like, you wouldn't just, you know, they typically wouldn't come out because they've got so many conditions. They'll be on meds. It's a couple of things. So at the end of the day, like, activity for him became something that was going to improve his health. Okay. And that was something he kind of wanted to really focus on. So when he started getting these conditions come through, rather than kind of going the opposite and going into a bit of a hole and kind of that accepting it.
And how easy is that?
You know, well, everyone's doing it at like 30, like 20 and 30. Like, they have a bad day and you won't see him for a week. But you know, he's a really inspiring guy in regards to his outlook, because he's like, well, he knows his time's limited. Yeah. But he wants his time to be, you know, as best he can. So, you know, as best as he can possibly make it. So if coming to the gym 2-3 times a week and walking twice a week is, you know, and, you know, he just so happens to really enjoy those things as well. It's not a chore for him. No. You know, but he was a perfect advocate for someone that,
it's never too late.
Yeah, could easily make excuses. Like, could easily make so many excuses. Valid ones too, like, not just, I haven't got the time, because, you know, we've all got the same amount of time in a day, and, you know, gyms are 24 hours. I know it's not, you know, applicable for everyone, but if you really wanted it,
really,
it's out there,
really
right? It's out there. Like it's within reach and distance. But, you know, if anyone's got an excuse, it's someone like that, someone that's older. So he's, again, like we talked about earlier, he's already like working against the general norms of the gym. You know, the gyms aren't accessible for him. He's being kind of told, you know, throughout his life that he needs to be careful, you know, not do this and not do that. And he's got these conditions, but, you know, we've navigated and found a way in regards to, you know, he's got AF, which affects his heart rate, makes his heart rate go really high, just randomly. So first thing we did was got him a heart rate monitor to wear in the gym. So he's constantly, if you watch him in the gym, he's constantly got his phone open with his heart rate on. So we work his sets out based on that, and then he sits down and lets his heart rate drop, and then that's how we know when his rest is done, and then we go again. So there's always a way. Again, it's just, and that's a super simple approach.
But I just have to put in here, because the only way that he has been able to get over this hurdle is to train with you. It's that simple. And this is like why it's super important when you're selecting a PT or selecting a coach or selecting a strength and conditioning coach, that you really dive into their credibility. Like, what can they do for you? And you, as I said, like, he could only get there with you. It's a fact. Do you know what I mean? Like, I physically would not take someone like that on. That's not my area. I am not confident enough that I can justify my coaching skills for him. That is a straight away referral.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's where the industry needs to be smarter. Like, you, again, like I said earlier, if you're training someone, then you're doing good for them. Like, regardless, like, don't get me wrong. Sometimes people do more harm than good, but people are exercising, and never take that away from anyone. Like, if they're exercising, that's better than nothing. But we need to accept our scope of practice and just be like, look, if we're not comfortable with this, then refer out, someone will be. But then that's, again, the importance of networking and finding out what other coaches do, connecting with other coaches, and you never know who you're going to speak to and think, oh, I got good link up here. Because at the end of the day, as trainers, as coaches, as people that advocate fitter and healthier lifestyles, it's about the person. It's not about us, really. So, like, clients are always around. So that client might not sign up with you. However, the process of you referring them on, one, has created a good relationship with the coach, but also created a good relationship with the client. 100%. So then the client's more likely to stay in, keep in touch, keep in contact, just, highs and buys in the gym. And then you never know what that relationship then develops onto. Their daughter or son might come to the gym, and then that referral comes back to whoever referred it on. So that network's important, and that's something that we had at the clinic. It was just a nice referral network. So it's something that I think I did when we started at JD Albury, was just sent a message into the chat.
Yeah, I remember.
Like, what's everyone's business? What's everyone's ideal as client? That sort of stuff. Because I'm more than happy to refer to you if you're
and
more
you've
than
done
happy
it.
to.
You know what I mean? It's something that you have exercised. It's not something that it's not just lip service. It's something that you've exercised. Okay, so, Bo, one last question that I have for you. Okay, so to the 60-year-old that's going to watch this, who is sitting down, and they're thinking, I'm too old. Like, what message? What can you tell them right now? Like, what one piece of advice could you give them?
Get up. Yeah, just get up. Just get out. There's groups out there. Like, look on Facebook. You'll find walking groups. That would be a great place to start. Like, because if someone came to, let's say, the walking group that David does, then they'll talk about the gym because they enjoy it, and then that might incite, like, oh, do you mind if I attend the gym with you, or at least come along with you, or do you mind introducing me to the person that's got you to where you are, and then that creates a nice easy process, move into this lifestyle. What you don't want to do is Google like all of these things, because you're just going to get hammered with opinions and things like that. So just make sure that you maybe speak to someone, or best thing to do is someone in the family as well. Like, someone in the family might be in the gym and stuff like this, so they can connect you with someone. And just get moving anyway. Cycling, biking, gardening, it doesn't have to be this fancy luxurious process. It's just, it's handy if it is. There's a lot of benefits to the gym, but there's way more benefits to just being active than just not being active. So that would be the that would be the biggest take home.
I love that. I love that. So the people who are watching this, like, where can they find you? Like, what social platforms are you on?
Facebook, Instagram's the main two. So it's just the Kinetic Coach on both of those. Yeah, those are the main two.
I love that. Boss man, thank you